What's going on, everybody? Crazy Dog back with another Cleveland Browns video for you guys. And as you can see by the title, in this video, I'm going to be comparing the Browns 2023 starting defensive unit as it currently stands to the Eagles 2017 defensive unit that, of course, helped the Eagles win the Super Bowl. They've had some big plays in that game. I think the biggest play of that game was the Brandon Graham strip sack of Tom Brady. And we're essentially going to compare the two defensive units and see if there's any similarities between the two. And I think you guys already know what the similarities are going to be. But we're going to go through it a little bit and everything. But before I get into that, of course, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. And of course, I'll be live for Game 7, Celtics, Sixers, speaking of Philly, tomorrow afternoon. Should be a banger. Now, before I get into the comparison, I got some Browns schedule news to talk about, as the Browns officially released their preseason schedule. And as you can already see, we got 4 preseason games this year because the Browns will be participating in the Hall of Fame game against the Jets at Hall of Fame Stadium, Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio. Of course, that's when Joe Thomas will officially get enshrined into the Hall of Fame. Something that we've been waiting forever for. Of course, for those who don't know, I went to Joe Thomas's very last game. Of course, at the time, we didn't think that was his last game ever. But of course, unfortunately, he got hurt and he just couldn't do it anymore. His knees just couldn't take the punishment, pretty much. He just didn't have the love for it anymore. I think it was more or less just him not being able to go out there and perform at his top peak. I'm sure if he wanted to, he could probably have played another year, but his body just would not have been able to hold up too much longer. So he's like, you know what? My knees feel like crap. My arm's messed up. I'm calling it quits. That sucks, but it's the way it happened. And now he's officially going to be a Hall of Famer. And of course, the Browns will be playing in the Hall of Fame game. And, should be fun. Now, as far as me streaming that game, I don't know if I'm going to stream that game because we're not going to see any of the starters. It's going to be a lot of Josh Dobbs, DTR, and Kellen Mond. If you're into that, that's good for you, but I don't know if I'm going to stream that game. We'll see though. Still got a lot of time. Now, after that, week 1 of the actual preseason, the Browns will have their lone home preseason game hosting the Commanders. And then week 2 of the preseason, we go to Philadelphia, where I assume we will be holding joint practices with the Eagles again, because I remember Kevin Stefanski talking about how he really wanted to essentially run it back with joint practices against the Eagles like we did last year. Now, I'll tell you one thing, this year it's going to be a lot of fun because you have Deshaun Watson, Jalen Hurts, the 2 receiving cores that we got, the defenses. Oh, man, Jim Schwartz returning to Philadelphia. Should be fun. And then, of course, we wrap up the preseason week 3 at Arrowhead against Kansas City. Now, as far as the dress rehearsal, I'm pretty sure that's going to be week 3 against the Chiefs because that's normally when it would have been. But with them taking away a preseason game, it could easily be week 2 against the Eagles. I honestly have no idea. But yeah, I'm not really going to, go out there and give a preseason record prediction because it doesn't matter. It's preseason. All I want to see is the guys go out there and ball out, especially the guys at the bottom of the roster. I want to see who rises to the top and really makes it known that they want to be on this team. So we'll see what happens there. But now with that being said, let's get into the comparison. And starting off, we're going to look at the 2017 Philadelphia Eagles starting defense. And you look at their defense. Of course, up front, they had Vinnie Curry, Timmy Jernigan, Fletcher Cox, and Brandon Graham. A very, very solid front 4. At linebacker, they had Michael Kendricks, former Brown for like 10 minutes. He was supposed to be in jail. Did he ever go to jail? I don't think he did. Of course, right? And then you have Jordan Hicks and Nigel Bradham. Solid linebackers. And then in the secondary, you had Jalen Mills and Ronald Darby at corner, and Rodney McLeod, now a Brown, and Malcolm Jenkins at safety. So overall, a very, very solid defense. And I believe they added Donnell Ellerby at some point later on, just to add a little bit more spice to their defense. So very solid defense for the Eagles that year. And now you compare that unit with the unit that the Browns have. Of course, up front, we would have Garrett, Tomlinson. I'm going to say Perion Winfrey. I have no idea if he's going to be the starter. I mean, if he can keep his head on straight, I think he could definitely start. But I'll tell you one thing, Siaki Ika is definitely going to give him a run for his money. And I would not be shocked if we added another defensive tackle. Browns fans have this infatuation with Matt Ioannidis or Shelby Harris. But my God, imagine a front four of Garrett, Tomlinson, Ioannidis, and Smith. Now imagine a NASCAR package consisting of, let's say, who would be on the outside? Alex Wright and Obo Okoronkwo with Garrett and Smith in the middle. Yeah, you're not getting away from that. Nope. Those are some nasty pass rushers right there. For real. Hey, do you think the Browns could still add Frank Clark? No. Getting Zadarius Smith essentially sends that boat down the river. We're not getting Frank Clark. If we do add another defensive end, it's going to be a guy like Justin Houston. But even if we do add another one, I don't know if we will. And then at linebacker, we have JOK, of course. And then two linebackers coming off injuries, and Anthony Walker and Sione Takitaki. Now notice I have a plus sign next to Takitaki because he's currently not even supposed to be back until November, December. Because he had a late season ACL injury. And I don't even know how he's going to be when he comes back. ACL injuries are tough to come back from. He's not going to come right back and start making plays. It might take him the rest of the season to really get back up to speed. So most likely, if we do bring him back for the season after, because I believe he's on a 1-year deal. But we'll see. But if he does come back for the season after, I think he would be just fine. But I don't know what to expect from Takitaki. Honestly, I expect the Browns to maybe add another linebacker just to take the burden off of Takitaki when he does come back. And then you look at our secondary. Of course, at corner, we have Denzel Ward and Greg Newsome, one of the better young duo and one of the better young cornerback duos in the league. And then at safety, of course, we added Juan Thornhill and Rodney McLeod. Can't forget about him. But of course, you have Grant Delpit. So overall, a very, very solid defensive unit for the Cleveland Browns. Am I going to say that our defensive unit is better than what the Eagles had in 2017? No, because we haven't seen these guys on the field yet. I'll make that statement later on. I'll make that observation later on when we actually see these guys on the field. Now, if this defense just absolutely goes hog wild and we make the playoffs and we pull an Eagles and go to the Super Bowl and win on a strip sack by Zadarius Smith, well, yeah, we're going to be like, well, this defense was definitely better than the Eagles of 2017. But right now, that defense won them a Super Bowl, and we don't know what this defense is going to do. So the jury's still out. But I absolutely love what we got so far. And of course, the Browns could always add more pieces because knowing Andrew Berry, he's never done shopping. I didn't expect us to get Zadarius Smith. And yet he went out, called up his old buddy, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah in Minnesota, and said, hey, yo, let me get that Zadarius Smith. Let me make my pass rush even more vicious than it already was. And I can already tell you, Jim Schwartz, when he heard the news, he was probably drooling. I bet you when Andrew Berry was walking back to his office after making the call or whatever, when he was walking, around the building, he probably saw a freaking stream of drool leaking out of Jim Schwartz's office. He probably just heard, and then he opens the door and he's like, yo, Jim, what you doing? And then Jim's just sitting there with drool just streaming out of his mouth. And then Andrew Berry looks on the TV and he's just watching Zadarius Smith highlights over and over and over again. Oh, man, what goes on in my head? I honestly have no idea. My goodness. The visualizations I come up with. Oh, my God. But yeah, I'll tell you one thing. watching this defense is going to make me want to drool because, my God, on paper, it looks freaking nasty. But of course, as they always say, games aren't won on paper. They are won on the field. And all I'm going to say is if this defense up here stays healthy, oh boy, watch out. Especially that front four. My God, Garrett, Tomlinson, Zadarius Smith, and let's say Winfrey or Siaki Ika. Oh my God. Yeah, quarterbacks better get themselves some life insurance policies because they're going to need it. Yeah. This defense is going to make opposing offensive coordinators sweat trying to game plan against these guys. There's going to be a lot of sleepless nights caused by this defense. I can already tell you. Yep. Offensive coordinators are going to be burning a lot of midnight oil trying to find a way to beat this defense. Straight up. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, that's pretty much going to do it for this video. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the bell. And I'll see you tomorrow for Celtics Sixers Game 7. Freaking ready. Are you? Let's see what else Andrew Berry has in store for us. I know he's got more cooking for us. I already know he does. Get me a running back and a linebacker, maybe a D tackle, or set. After that, get me to September. Okay? All right. That's going to wrap it up. I'm Crazy Dog. Let's go, Browns. And I'm out. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go watch some more Zadarius Smith highlights. Bye-bye.